Good evening, Michael64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So I'm doing a live stream today. I know I usually do it on Wednesdays, but as it was the 4th of July yesterday, I decided to do it today. So I'm going to wait for a few more people to get on board. I'm going to talk about gold and silver as insurance, as financial insurance. Much like life insurance or insurance for your automobile, you don't get rid of it. You'd be crazy to get rid of it. That's my opinion. Evening, Sergio from St. Andrews in Scotland. Nice to see you. One of the reasons why I chose that headline about gold and silver being insurance is because Silver Doctors has published Harry Dent's latest article about gold. Silver Doctor always uses the headline, Harvard-trained economist, gold's weak now, and if it drops to this price, then get ready for $450 an ounce gold. And I'm sure some of you have seen this story, and I want to talk about what I think of Harry Dent and his opinion on gold. Darth Alba, hi, Darth. Coins or bars, whatever, whatever makes you happy, and if you've got a big amount of fiat money to store in precious metals, you could use bars, but if not, small coins will do, or sovereigns. The Sprinkler Ninja, hi, the Sprinkler Ninja. Cody Miller, hi, Cody. Hi, everyone. So, Harry Dent, am I saying that anyone that goes to Harvard, we shouldn't listen to them? No, but I think it's Silver Doctors. They like to mention the fact that he's a Harvard-trained economist. I actually went into Dent Research to look at the article. The article doesn't really say Harvard-trained economist. It just says that breakage below 1240 could be fatal for gold. The one thing about Harvard is that the economics department at Harvard is run by Keynesians. I mean, Ben Bernanke has a degree from Harvard. He went to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The school that he follows is the New Keynesian economics. So I would even argue and say that Harry Dent has never even touched a gold coin or a silver bar. You look at his firm, Dent Research. They've got experts. They're all highly paid economists. What are their products? You look at their products, and you've got you can have John Del Vecchio's hidden profits for $98 a year. You can have peak income for $595 a year. You can have equity trading strategies starting from $1,500 a year to $2,500 a year. You can have options trading services. You can have elite membership, the Dent Network, for $15,000. So am I saying that's wrong, the fact that he wants to make money off financial advice? No, but he's not going to advise you to buy boring physical gold that has, survived as a financial insurance for thousands of years. It doesn't make him any money, and he's got to pay for that. All his experts have to pay for that. Probably the student debt that they incurred, maybe going to Harvard or whatever. So the other thing that Harry Dent, he doesn't see, he probably was never taught about gold. The fact that constitutionally the dollar is a way to gold and silver. He looks back at the Great Depression and the fact that the dollar was strong during the Great Depression, but he forgets that during the Great Depression, the dollar was gold, as good as gold. Uh, he looks at gold just as a commodity. He's wrong. Even if gold goes down to $450, I think everything would have collapsed. And if you have a deflationary collapse like that, would you really want financial assets with brokers trading options and doing the Harry Dent strategy? No, you probably wouldn't have your fiat money left. So that's what I think about Harry Dent. Am I saying he could be wrong? He could be right. Sorry, am I saying he's going to be completely wrong? No, maybe there will, things, you never know. That's what I wanted to say. But I will not get rid of. It's like I have life assurance. So if I got rid of my life assurance, I don't think my wife would be very happy. So there you go. It's the same thing. Do you really want to get rid of your financial insurance, of your savings, and go trade with Harry Dent? Nah, I don't think so. So Tim Martin, hello from Romania. Uh, Harry Dent uses fear to sell his products. That's what it seems. I'm not here. I could start a Monaco 64 investment advisory program with options, futures. I mean, I've done that to institutional investors, but that's not what I'm here for. Of course, I do get paid through monetization on YouTube, from your donations on Super Chat, or through Patreon, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm not really here to get people to part with their money and speculate in this system, which I think is very dangerous. I'm here to talk about how the system was never fixed in 08, 09. A good analogy would be that the Titanic hit the iceberg in 08, and they were able actually to patch it up, but they didn't really do a great job, and they're trying to, go on their journey to New York, but it will eventually sink. What they should have done is let it sink, but they didn't. So, and the advice that I try to give actually is not even advice. It's just what I do, and I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't do it. Is to have financial insurance like physical gold and silver to try to get out of the system as much as possible. Do you really want to be involved with Wall Street and Harry Dent trading options and doing all these strategies and paying them thousands of dollars a year so they can help you lose money? Maybe they will help you make money, but if they're so good at it, why do they have to sell their services? So yeah, I wouldn't really bother reading about that article. I did go look at that. There's some really interesting comments. I like to read the comments in Silver Doctors, and yeah, the comments are really interesting. One guy said, "It's too damn early for this crap. Haven't had my coffee yet." One guy says, "I know several Harvard-educated business finance graduates. They're as stupid as they come and have no ability to think outside their arrogant little world. Evidently, this is true with Harry Denthead." So that's the kind of comments you get. Am I saying, as I said earlier, I don't think all Harvard-educated people are stupid, but they're kind of in a bubble. They actually, I would dare to say they don't understand money. I would even say Ben Bernanke doesn't understand money. He was asked by Ron Paul what gold was, why central banks have held gold. And he said, "Oh, it's because it's tradition." I think he might know, but he was just dishonest. But a lot of them won't. Uh, Pad 1254 is the Brexit open low from June 24th, 2016. Very strong support. Yeah, I mean, and also is the low, I think, from late last year was 1237, 37. Yes, I think early this week we got to 1238, so it's kind of a double bottom. Again, we shouldn't worry too much about the technicals. If anything, it just gives us more time to dollar cost average. I was listening to an interview. I think it's Robert Miyazaki. He's the rich dad, poor dad guy. He was being interviewed by World Alternative Media, which is a pretty good YouTube channel. I recommend it. And he said, he was in Vietnam in the early 70s. And it was the first time he saw gold. He was fighting in Vietnam, and he actually started buying gold because he'd never seen gold, because gold bullion was banned in the US. And he said he's been buying ever since. He said you can't go wrong saving in gold and silver. So yeah, Harry Dent. I mean, good luck, with your clients. Pad Monaco 64. Thanks for the stock research tip. Picked up Kirkland Gold as my last position from GDXJ list. Doing super great. Oh, I'm glad, and I'm glad you did your homework and you're doing all right with it. Yeah. Prof. Grampy, Professor, you're here to teach, I'm here to learn. Well, yeah, I hope so, and that's what it's about. Um, the perfect pair, long gold, short dent. Daryl Lowry, what are your thoughts on the price of gold being pegged to SDR at 900? Well, SDR is just a basket of the dollar, the euro, the pound, the Japanese yen, the yuan. So why would it be pegged at 900? I don't know. Someone told me about that Jim Rickard said that. I think it's complete. I don't know. It just seemed quite I don't know what the SDR is doing right now in terms of SDR doesn't even exist. It's just a basket. So I have no thoughts on that. I think it's total rubbish. I think you need to look at gold as how much you can buy with it of real things and forget about the SDR. SDR is just another fiat concoction that the bankers, the IMF, try to issue in the late 60s because the Americans were running out of gold. So they didn't want to pay out in gold. So they thought, oh, let's create an SDR, so we don't have put pressure on gold. And that's all the SDR is. It's like an invention of the IMF, World Bank, the Americans, and the central bankers. So I totally ignore the SDR, special drawing rights. Of what? Of nothing. Simply the best. Best investing will be in what you like to do, like learning to play piano, making nice, simple drawings like I do. The ability cannot be grabbed by government. That's right. I've told members of my family who have businesses and stuff, what should I invest in? And I tell them, well, invest in your business, invest in your family. Yeah, why invest in someone else's business? Why invest in Harry Dent? Yeah, look, do something you enjoy. Yeah, that's right. Why is Bernanke's answer wrong? Well, because Bernanke, if he was honest, he would have said gold has been money for thousands of years and will always be, but he didn't. He couldn't actually say gold was money. He just said central banks held gold because it was tradition, right? So he didn't want to admit in front of the world that it was still money. Donovan Warland, Mr. Monaco, how much silver physically is your advice for, say, young Americans that move and say 20 somethings? I collect silver with tip money from, for example, just keep stacking. Yeah, Donovan, put it in a shoebox if you get quite a bit and hide it well. That's what I would say. It's Alan G. I'm sorry, I'm having faith issues in my metals investments. The future is the future, but at the moment it's rough. Well, depends what you mean by metal investments. Gold and silver, they're money, so it's a way of saving, right? Metal investments, I assume you mean mining stocks, and things like that, or ETFs. Yeah, but the way you have to look at it is that the money nowadays is fiat money. It's debt. It's been like multiplied by trillions and trillions in the last 10 years, and it's not sustainable. It's not really doing anything for the world economies. The US economy is not doing well. The only reason it looks like it's doing well is because the government is starting to run huge deficits again. The, the budget deficit in the US for this year is going to be around 5%. GDP might be 2.5 or 3, but if you take the deficit away, the economy has actually shrunk. So eventually, people will lose confidence in paper money. There's an article today from Zero Hedge about this farmer in Donegal, which is a county in Ireland. He was digging a ditch in his farm, and he found gold from thousands of years ago, and it's still worth something. So that's how you got to look at it. I'm not saying you got to wait 1,000 years, but gold will always have some value. So I wouldn't be discouraged, Italian G. James Wonker, 9,900. Is that the SDR? Donovan World, try to understand SDR and how real it is. The SDR is just like the dollar index. That's all it is. It's a method of accounting for the World Bank or for the IMF using the major currencies. It's nothing really. Darth Alba, this guy deserves at least 50,000 subs. Well, beginning of the year, I was up to 10,000, so it's moving up. uh, you know, I just have to keep at it. Chris Wienert or Weinert, I heard that spot price took a dive because somebody dumped 33 billion in gold certificates and allocated gold. Yeah, I mean that's the paper game, the futures or the LBMA unallocated. That's how the central banks and the bullion banks keep the market under control. But can they do it forever? No. If they could do it forever, the gold wouldn't be around anymore. People wouldn't use it. We still wouldn't be talking about gold. Gold would still be at $35 an ounce and the Dow at 25,000, but that hasn't happened, right? So it won't last forever. Would the world, Greg D, would the world really need reserve currency if all the leading countries back their money with gold? No, I mean gold is money. Yeah, you don't need a reserve currency. Gold is the thing is the reserve currency gives the country who has that status a lot of power. You see, and that's why the United States has been I wouldn't even say it's the people of the United States, but the leadership of the United States, not only the United States, but the globalists who are based here in the UK as well, in Europe, the bankers, they want that control of the money, right? They are the heirs of the Rothschilds, not necessarily just the Rothschilds, but they've got this philosophy that they want control of the money, so they don't care who makes the laws, right? That's why when people you've got referenda, for example, in Ireland a few years ago, or in the UK, when the people vote and it doesn't go their way, they want to screw everything up because the sheep was supposed to uh, think they have a say. So they're always supposed to vote for the people they select and the way they want. And when they don't, they call them populists and radicals. and fascists, right? So that's how it goes. So yeah, we don't need a reserve currency. That's what I was talking about. Gold is money anywhere you go. Why would you need to exchange your gold if you go from England to Russia or something? You could use a sovereign in Russia. They would take that as money. I would take a ruble, a gold ruble, as money anywhere. I would take gold anywhere from. It doesn't matter where it's from. Tony Blaylock, have you heard about the new money by Andrew Maguire called Kinesis Money, going to launch as an ICO in September and full launch? Yeah, I heard that. Uh, I'm not too sure about that. It seems really complicated. It says it's interest bearing, but it doesn't say how it's going to pay interest. Um, I won't touch it, to be honest. Hori Fumio, love you from Japan. Hey, mushmushi. Shotomate kudasai. I know that in Japanese. You support a gold standard. How would asset-backed economy society differ from a debt-based? Well, the thing about you can have debt in an asset-backed economy, like with gold. Uh, you can have credit, but it would be more limited, you see. With the debt-based fiat money economy, the governments and the central banks and the bankers, they just create all this credit out of nothing with no anchor, no gold anchor. So you could still have credit in a gold based system. People can still lend money, lend gold. So, but it's just going to be more limited. What's been happening in the last 50 years, uh, Hori, is that you've had more and more of this debt. And have you noticed how worse and worse the crisis gets? It's because there's so much credit. But with gold, there will be credit, but it will be limited because there's a limit to how much you can create if you respect, the money. If you have sound money. So, and I think a lot of the conspicuous consumption we have, and I'm not like I don't believe in the climate change story, but I think there's a lot of waste in the world. A lot of it is due to fiat money because people consume so much. You need to keep consuming. So I think an asset-backed gold standard would be good for everyone. It would discipline people more, in my opinion. Of course, the bankers would hate it because they wouldn't make as much profits. So would the politicians because they wouldn't be able to borrow as much money to buy people's votes, right? And that's the whole thing. Uh, MM here. Hey, MM nice to see you. He's my cheerleader, MM So I've missed some questions now. Let's see. Uh, the last question was from uh, Hori. That's right. Simply the best. Like the story that people found in their garden millions of Deutschmark before the war. Nice. Chris Weiner. War would not be put on our tab if our money were backed by gold, balanced budgets. That's right. Before central banking, monarchs, kings, uh, they had to think very hard before starting a war because they had to borrow real money, right? But with the central banking and the Bank of England, it started getting much easier. Yeah, it's the instrument of wars. I mean, you look at the 20th century, if it wasn't for the Fed, I don't think we would have had World War One and World War Two. And if it wasn't for the major European powers in 1914 dropping the gold standard, World War One would have ended in a couple of years, not four. Sedona Vance V, how long will it take the dollar to die off? Well, I have to admit, people have been calling for the death of the dollar for a long time. But I don't know. It could be 10 years. It could be 10 months. Who knows? Confidence in a currency can be lost overnight. So, yeah. Sedona TV, Mario, Jim Rickard is calling out for 900 SDR gold peg. Uh, I don't give a hoot about what Jim Rickard's calling for. SDR is not a real currency. So it's like, yeah, I don't really, I don't know what he's talking about there. I would stick to just owning, not worrying about a price of gold, just having, grams of gold and silver, and you'll be fine. I wouldn't worry about Jim Rickards. He's just probably trying to sell more books, even though I bought some of his books. Mehmet Bayaktar, Maneko, people being poor and don't even have food, and you talk fictionally about some gold stuff. Well, I'm aware that there are people in the world that are hard up, don't have food, even here in the UK. Yeah, I'm trying to help people, even if they don't have, food or so. But they're not watching this, are they? I mean, I can't help everyone, but I'm trying to help the people that I can. And but I think that if we had a fairer monetary system, Mehmet, if we had sound money, if we didn't have corrupt politicians, corrupt bankers, corrupt universities, corrupt economists, the world would be in much better shape, and there'd be a lot less people like you, like you're saying, that don't have, that are poor and that can't feed themselves. So Chris Weiner, but you look like you yourself that you can feed yourself if you're online using the internet. Chris Weiner, Mario, what do you think about LITECOIN, crypto backed by silver? Yeah, I've seen that. Could be something for you to try, but I heard that you have to send your silver, but I'd rather hold it physically. I still not too convinced on these gold-backed cryptos and silver-backed cryptos. I still think the the advantage of gold and silver is that you don't have counterparty risk and that you can hold it. Brendan Fallon, hi Brandon from Australia. GG, I think this Novichok thing. Well, it's the. I don't really believe anything we're told anymore by the government anywhere in the world, really. I think it's just because the World Cup is going so well. you know, People are really enjoying themselves that the UK government has had to find another story to blame on the evil Russians, right? Frank Glasgow, Mario, as a veteran of the city of London, when did you change your mind about bankers? When did you learn about to detest them? Well, I don't think everyone in the city of London. There's a lot of people who work there. They're doing a job. They work in the front office. They're traders. They have very little knowledge about the how the system works. I don't detest anyone. I detest the system. I think it's wrong, and everyone's responsible for it. Not only the bankers, the politicians, but the public as well, because we're playing the game. That's why I say you need to get out of the system and how do you do that? By not borrowing or lending, uh, living within your means. But I started working in the city in '92. I bought, for some reason or another, I bought some gold coins in 2002. Then I started reading about it, and I knew then, through the next few years, and I had colleagues that I in the city that we got involved together with gold when we talk about it, and we knew the system was rotten, and this was even before '07. So when it happened in '07 and '08, we were not surprised. So, and I kept working in the city till 2012. So that's, hope that answers your question. Sedona TV, yeah, don't worry about this SDR rubbish. What does it mean? You know, the SDR, as I said earlier, someone asked the same question. SDR is just a basket of the dollar, the Japanese yen, the yuan, the Swiss franc. It's just a basket of currencies, right? That's all it is that the IMF and World Bank tried to conjure up in the late 60s to help the Americans. They try to push it on to countries like France because France wanted to redeem its Federal Reserve notes for gold. So they thought, oh, let's sell them the SDR. And, SDR is just another pile of rubbish paper. Toxic firefly. What's your question, Toxic? Lab book 84, how much gold should I hold? Well, that's for you to decide. It's no like saying how much money should I save. So that's for you to do your homework. I'm here to just like tell you that what I think that gold is like a very good form of, you know, holding some of your savings. Kevin Vanderweer, tomorrow Brazil and Belgium. Yeah, that's right. George Hibbs, Mario, does LeBron's move to LA affect effect? You mean affect, right? Your grammar's not very good there, George, or your spelling. Affect the gold, the price of gold. That's a silly question. I don't know why you're here if you're going to be joking around. So, Aaron Schnacky, Hamaneka, what do you think the gold silver ratio could be by December? Well, right now I haven't really looked lately. It's probably around 80, isn't it, or 70? Uh, well, if the market rebounds, we could be towards the low 70s, maybe mid 60s. That would be my best guess. John, Mario, I sent this question on a previous video. Did you see the Fed discontinued their report? It was like, actually, it was the St. Louis Fed. I read about that too. But there are, there are other Federal Reserve branches, like I think the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. They still issue how much, like securities and their balance sheet is. It was just the St. Louis Fed. So maybe, they want to try to get people not to look into it. So like a few years ago, they discontinued M3. I think they discontinued M2. So it's because they don't want people to look at it to see their balance sheet. Maybe the other Fed branches will do the same thing. So yeah, they're getting more and more transparent, right? Not. Noonian business. Greetings and salutation, Mara. Thank you so much for being a light in the darkness. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you. Peter Shakonas, how do you feel about gold ducats? Well, yeah, I think they were the original Venetian. Was it the Venetian coins or the Florentine coins? Yeah, I mean, it's gold. If you can get them for a bullion price, yes. If you are a collector, why not? Any gold coin is a good coin. Frog, hi, Monaco. Have you have any advice on at least expensive way to purchase gold for someone who has yet to ever purchase precious metals? Yeah, bullion is the best way. By bullion, I mean non-collectible. and try to do your shop around, see which dealer has the least premium, and make sure they're reputable as well, because you want to buy real stuff, right? So that's the advice I have. If you only have, let's say, $500 to buy, or 1,000, don't try to buy a bar. Maybe try to buy a few small coins. That's the advice. Eric Menega, do you think platinum is fairly priced right now? I've seen that platinum is dropped quite a bit recently. Uh, yeah, I'm not surprised, with gold and silver being down so much, and yeah, so it has been as high as 2,500 a few years ago when gold was still below 1,000. So, and now it's below gold. So, but don't really follow it too much. What's your favorite way to hold gold? Sovereigns here in the UK, yeah, sovereigns. Even though I have other coins. H. Cone, any opinions on the following promoters? Katusa, Sprott, Rick Rule. Well, they're all kind of involved in the mining sector. Yeah, I mean, the thing about these guys, yeah, they do have some good tips and stuff. They do charge for their research. So yeah, I mean, you still need to do your homework. Um, do you know of any Dam Runner One? Do you know of any other investment besides precious metals that carry no counterparty risk? Thanks. Well, anything that you can touch and hold is there's no counterparty risk. I guess the house that you live in, if you're in the house, there's no counterparty risk. If you've got stuff like a boat, if you live by a lake and you've got your boat moored to your house, there's no counterparty risk. Yeah, anything that you can have access to right away, right? Colloidal silver, OG. Yeah, I have owned some colloidal silver before. S. Walker, hi Mario. I just joined you. Can you please do a quick overview why gold and silver are good in this? What do you mean are good in? Oh, are good insurance? Well, I was talking about the reason I entitled that the live stream about insurance is that our friend, our Harvard-trained economist Harry Dent has come out and he said if gold drops below 1240, we could go to 450. That you should get rid of your gold, right? And my take on this is that would you want to get rid of your life insurance? My wife wouldn't be happy if I got rid of my life insurance. So would you like to get rid of your financial or monetary insurance, which is gold and silver? No. So that's why I entitled that. My mom said today the central banks will do more and more QE for years. I said it will have to break soon. Well, I recommend the book Fiat Money Inflation in France by what's his name? Dickinson White. I forgot his first name, but just Google. There's loads of free PDFs, and it just shows that money printing works for a short while. It gooses up the economy. Eventually, though, confidence collapses in it. And your mom could be right, but it's difficult to say how far we are within, the process of losing confidence. Very difficult. They tried it in France right after the revolution in 1789. I think it was in the period when the revolution started and before Napoleon took power, like 1790 to 1795, they tried to print the assignats, which were actually backed by church land. And every time at the beginning, they said, "Oh, we're going to just print some, and it will kick start the economy, and then we'll, put them away, bring back sound money." But every time they tried to put it away, the economy imploded. So they kept printing and printing, and at one point, confidence was just lost, and everything imploded. There's hyperinflation, and then Napoleon took over, right, and had to bring back gold. Jason Rose, I can't wait till so much paper is printed. We use banknotes as confetti for parades. Well, that's why they want to go cashless, right? Because they don't want people taking out the banknotes. But there will be consequences to all this money printing. It can't end well. It just doesn't make. It's not natural. Chris Weiner, Mario, how do you feel about outsourcing the royal family and allow the people to adopt a third world family to take their place? I dream big. Yeah, that's a good one. Why not? It wouldn't make much difference. Uh, Alan Meyer, will housing in the UK crash? If so, by how much? Thanks. Well, they're keeping it afloat now with the artificial interest rates. Difficult to say how much they will crash. They need to crash more than the average historical, it's got to go through the average. So when it does crash, it's gonna feel really bad, and no one's gonna want to buy, and that will be the time to buy. But we're very far away from it. Uh, D. Mitch, many people talk about stagflation, you included. Do you think the central banks will fight inflation or prop up the economy, leading to hyperinflation? I think we are in already hyperinflation. Sorry, we already have stagflation. The only reason people don't talk more about it is because we are told, we're lied to through statistics by the central banks, by the economists, by the governments. But the general public feels there's stagflation. They don't earn as much. Cost of living is high. That's stagflation. There's no growth, right? Hyperinflation happens usually when the economy implodes. So it's not actually because of cost push inflation. Hyperinflation is the loss of confidence in the currency and the monetary system. Dean Markham, hi. Which do you think is better for investment, cryptos or metals? I have a heavier weighting towards metals, but I have some cryptos as well. I think cryptos are a lot more speculative, but they're also a way to fight to be outside the corrupt fiat money system, in my opinion. Even though there's a lot of scams in cryptos, you need to be careful. Alex Alexander, Maneko, besides the unit of accounting, do you think the spoken word is the ultimate currency? Well, yeah, that's trust, isn't it? My word is my bond. I mean, that's what they used to use in the city of London. But that doesn't exist anymore. I agree with you. Uh, you know, trusting someone. Yeah, that's right. If everyone trusted everyone, if we could trust everyone, we probably wouldn't need money, would we? We wouldn't need contracts. Blue Zoo, did you already talk about the silver price? No, I haven't. Well, let's see. I haven't looked. Let's see what we're doing. While silver's back above 16, I think at the moment, yeah, silver's come off a bit, got hit hard earlier in the week. But if we resume, as I expect, eventually the bull market in precious metals and the bear market in fiat currencies, silver will outperform gold. In the hyperinflation environment, though, gold outperforms because it's less bulky, easier to get, easier to carry. H Cone, any opinions on energy stocks? I don't, to be honest, I don't follow them too much. So, but they should do well when the oil price goes up, and it has been going up. EAC EAC 26114653. I've been watching your videos for several months and have gained a lot. You have 18,000 subscribers. Have you thought about starting a financial information website to better monetize your viewership? Not really. I mean, I haven't. Maybe that could be something to look into. But as I was talking about earlier in this live stream, I was talking about Harry Dent because and how he's actually trying to sell financial advice, and I don't really want to do that. So I just want to do what I do. I enjoy doing this. I am, the amount of monetization I'm getting from YouTube is increasing, so that's a good thing. And also the live streams, I'm getting some donations through a super chat, which is good. I also publish on Steemit and DTube, so I'm fine as it is. But who knows? Pad, please do not predict precious metals prices. Bad things happen when you do. Well, I just try to see how the market's going. It's very difficult to predict prices, of course, and the timing. So I'm not going to try to do a bow pony, even though I agree with a lot of what he says. Kevin Vanderweer, is uranium a good investment? I have had some uranium stocks in the past. Uh, some people think it is, yeah. So, but at the moment, I'm not looking into uranium. But it's quite a specialized market, and you invest it through the mining companies, of course. Gonzo Shea, we are in a recession. Yeah, I agree. If it wasn't for government spending and deficits, the US and the UK would be in a recession. I spoke about that earlier this week. Actually, the EU, the countries that use the euro, they're actually growing more than the US because they actually have a very small budget deficit. They're growing a little less than the US, but the US is running almost a 5% government deficit, budget deficit. D. Mitch, do you think you might do some interviews with other bloggers? I have done some before. I'm not really looking to myself interview other bloggers. I haven't been contacted by other bloggers. I'm fine, as it is for now. GR, GR, OG. The bull market starts when the cabal says so, not a day before. You're probably right. But I don't know if any of you have heard of Lindsey Williams. Um, I mean, he's been wrong about some things, but he's been around the elite, so to speak, and he says that their currency is gold. So the thing is, they've got so much wealth and control that they don't care what the gold price does. They just hold it, right? You go to me too. Mario, do yield curves mean anything with all the QE central bankers do? Uh, the only thing it means is that if the curve inverts or flattens, it means that, let's say the 2-year yield is 2%, and then the 10-year yield comes down to 2%. Usually, what bankers do, they borrow for 2 years, let's say at 2%, and they can lend out at 4%. But if they can borrow at 2 and only lend out at 2, it's not worth borrowing. So that slows credit creation. And what the central bankers have done, and I've heard that the ECB is thinking of doing, is doing Operation Twist, which is basically, uh, you know, how can I say, shifting the curve around to make it steeper, you see. And that's what they'll do. They'll start buying the shorter end and let the longer end rise so that the bankers can start borrowing short and long again. So yeah, they'll try to manipulate that as well. But yeah, if the curve inverts, that's bad for the economy. That will stop credit creation because it's the bankers always borrow short term to lend long term because they make more money with that and they can roll over their loans overnight. But if overnight rates are higher than the longer term rates, the banks are not gonna borrow as more and not gonna lend as much, so things will slow down. James Mitchell, thanks for the super chat donation. I appreciate it. Richard Jones on Jim Rickards, heard an interesting interview with him where he questioned on Bitcoin. He was questioning Bitcoin. He disregarded the merits of Bitcoin, but advocated for cryptos, which integrated other trusted third parties. Yeah, I'm not too sure about Jim Rickards on that subject of cryptos and blockchain. He's a funny guy, Jim Rickards. He's been involved a lot with the deep state, I think. So I'm not too sure about him. He was even involved with negotiating the Iranian hostage crisis in the early '80s. Uh, and he works for this. He's worked closely with the CIA. Uh, Kui Kim Mac, 19th century pound sterling was global currency. 20th century dollars are global currency. 21st century will be another fiat currency. I hope not, Kui Kim. I hope we go back to the God's money, so to speak. Gold and silver. Rene Soto, Mario, I know this sounds crazy, but with the coming recession down the road, what do you think about cashing in 401k? I'm in my early 30s and I doubt I'll actually see it when I need it. You could be right. I already think we are in a recession anyways. You just have to. And the other thing, Rene, when people say, "Oh, you have to put money into your retirement," you need to retire at a certain age. Does it really matter? As long as you're healthy, you just keep doing things. I'm not saying that doesn't mean that you shouldn't save money, but whatever these schemes, 401ks or IRAs, we have the here in the UK as well. They're just there to help perpetuate Wall Street and the City of London. So yeah, do what you think you know seems right to you. That's all I have to say. Yeah, so who's Jim Ricketts? I don't know. I mean, but I think he's I don't know what he does in public is a kind of a cover for other things he does. That's all I can say. Jim Ricketts has an old school way of thinking. Trusted is inherently inferior to trustless. A blind man can see that. Hi, Mary. Hi, RJM. Nice to see you. Thank you, Patrick. Any thoughts on Michael Pento's commentary? Uh, I I saw that. Was he on King World News? I didn't read or listen to what he said. Um, I like Michael Pento. I think he's a good guy, and I agree with it, quite a bit of what he says. So maybe if you can elaborate what he said recently, that would help. Tenor Gray, what is it with all the ISIS pillows in the background? ISIS, huh? Well, when I started doing my videos, I had the Union Jack or the Union flag because I live in the UK. I think someone gave it to us as a present. And then I get a lot of American viewers. They said, "Where's the US flag?" So I got one, the one on the left with the dragon. That's like the flag of Wyvern. It's the Wessex Kingdom of Wessex flag from the 9th and 10th and 11th century in England. Um, so I haven't got an ISIS flag. Isn't it the black one with all the Arabic characters? Angela Morris, is it true silver leads gold? Yes, it does in a bull market. Yes, it does. Uh, Yako Ramo, when do you think the US stock market will peak? Oh, I've been saying it all this year that I think the peak was in January 26th at 26,000. I think the Nasdaq maybe has made a new high recently, but the Dow and the S&P haven't. We're still below, and I think this peak at 26,000 is going to be the peak for a, a good while to come, for a few years to come, at least. Joaquin Quiros, I have a little bit over 200 ounces of physical silver and no gold, but I've I've been buying some gold mining stocks. Should I keep putting money on the mining or buy physical gold? Many thanks. I'm new. Yeah, when I started in precious metals, I started by buying gold coins and silver coins, and then I went into looking into mining. So you've done it the other way. It doesn't matter. Maybe yeah, get some gold. So get some gold coins as well. Because mining companies, it's not really, but you're not really buying gold. You buy, well, you are indirectly, but you're also speculating on the management, on whether they'll find the gold. You're speculating on politics of the country where the mine is. So yeah, you do want to get a coin or two if you can. The Canadian flag hasn't gone out the window. It's behind me, you see, because I got to move them around sometimes. So yeah, it's just behind me. It's not out the window. Yeah, Nunia just said that too. Could I buy Venezuela's oil reserve if I show up with 10 ounces? No, I don't think so. Uh, some people argue they have huge reserves of oil, but Kevin, I'm not aware. I don't know what's happening with these claims. Uh, so, Tanner Gray, what's your point about four ISIS pillows? I know that the U.S. and the UK and the Saudis, they financed ISIS. That's right, but it doesn't mean to say just because I have these flags that you know. I don't know what your point is. So if you want to ask a question, or else, just like you know. Pat, miners like I like to own. Okay. Zalatiki, why governments can't print all the money and buy all the gold? Well, because they'd have to pay a very high price for it. Sometimes they do, because why would I want to exchange my gold for paper money that they can print out of thin air? What's more precious, paper or gold? That's why they try to keep the price down, so people don't. They don't want people, using gold. Nunya, I think I made a mistake buying numismatic coins. Mario, what's your opinion, sir? I have some numismatic coins as well, but I don't think it's a mistake. I mean, the price is a little less transparent, but it's never late to start buying other, just bullion coins. So, don't beat yourself over it. But yeah, if you're gonna, continue buying gold, stick to the bullion. James Mitchell, I've seen the movie The Big Short, and I just read the book. It's distressing how crooked Wall Street banks are. Yeah, I've seen that movie a couple of times. It's really good. Recommend that movie. It's great. Uh, Mila Vanessa, is Bank of England going to increase interest rate in August? No, I don't think so. No, I think they're going to try to keep. I know the last meeting, an extra person voted to hike, so the vote was 6-3 instead of 7-2. I don't think they're going to hike in August. Well, I think they're going to meet now in July anyway. So, but I don't think they'll hike in August. They're going to try to keep it as low as possible. RJM, some suggest numismatic only to avoid confiscation. What do you think? Yeah, well, that was a rule in the 1933. I think the Secretary of the Treasury at the time in the U.S. he was a numismatist, so he put that clause in the Gold Confiscation Act so that he could keep his coins. I don't think they're going to confiscate gold today because it's not the general public is not really involved. You go to me too. We need a top movie list. Which movies about markets and money you recommend? Well, yeah, The Big Short. I like Trading Places. Um, that was good with Eddie Murphy. Um, there's another one. I forgot the name. I think it was set. It's about when the day the dollar collapses and all the markets go into meltdown. It's an old movie from the 80s. I'll try to remember the name, but that's a good one too. Boiler Room, yeah, I haven't seen that one. Wolf of Wall Street, that's good as well. Uh, what's the other one with Wall Street? That's a good movie too. Wall Street. Hi, Mary. Do you follow Nomi Prince? Yeah, I do. I have some of her books, and I've listened to her interviews with Greg Hunter. Yeah, she knows what she's talking about. She used to work for Goldman Sachs. What's your views on buying copper coins? Right? Uh, don't really have too many copper coins. Could be good for change, I guess, but I don't have any. Mike, see the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island is a great book. Once you read that, you will never look at the banking system the same. I know I sure don't. Yeah, that I've read that. I read that book. I've got it on my shelf. I've had it for years. You also need to read Eustace Mullins. He's written a lot about the Federal Reserve, and I think G. Edward Griffin got his ideas from Eustace Mullins. Um, Here's the name. He's got some good books. The Secrets of the Federal Reserve. He's got the World Order. Yeah, Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. Really good as well. I think, John Perkins talks about how they've gone into third world countries. They put put them in huge debts. Then they pull the plug, and then they buy all the hard assets for pennies on the dollars. Well, I think the major hit is going to be now when they do it to the United States, when they do it to Europe. That's going to be the big hit. And you might ask, how can the Americans do that to the United States? Well, because these people are not really patriots, Americans or British. They're just thinking about raping and pillaging. So I think that's the next big hit is going to be America. And that's why you need to protect yourself with gold and silver um, and other hard assets. No, Mark, I haven't read Treasure Island tax havens. Yeah, they're still being heavily used, tax havens. Tanner Gray, will the banks honor fixed rate mortgages when inflation hits 50%? Well, here in the UK, the mortgages are fixed usually for 2 years, maybe five. They'll have to honor it, if it's 10 years. Um, if they don't, you have a legal case, I guess. Brett Thompson, what percentage of gold and silver would you take out of savings? What do you mean take out of savings? Gold and silver are savings, so uh, that's how I would save. They're real money. I guess you mean out of your fiat savings. I would personally put almost everything because I don't trust the banks. I don't want to keep too much money in the bank. When you put money with the bank now, it's not your money anymore. It's an unsecured loan. So that's another reason not to keep any fiat. Rene Soto, more YouTube documentary. Yeah, I like if you Google or if you search on YouTube, Norman Dodd uh, and interview with G. Edward Griffin. That's a really good interview there. Norman Dodd with G. Edward Griffin on YouTube. An interview was done in 1982. I really recommend that one. Hossam Asaf, hi. What do you think about cryptocurrencies? Yeah, I think I've been involved, not heavily, but since 2013. Uh, I think there's a future for them and the blockchain. Uh, as I've said before in the live stream, I'm weighted more towards precious metals, but I do have some cryptocurrencies. John Matheson, gold is money, everything else is credit. Yeah, that was JP Morgan, 1912 or 1913, the Peugeot hearings in Congress. That's right. Nisara, well, I've heard about Nisara before. It's still pie in the sky. I think we need to, I don't think we should look for saviors and, the good guys, like some people say. We got to just look after ourselves and not expect someone to come and save us. Zlatiki, why diamond is not looked at as a safe haven. The problem with diamonds is that they're not as liquid, I would say. They're not as standardized as bullion. You can get ripped off quite easily by the dealers. There's a lot of dishonest dealers in the diamond business. But if you can get a reputable diamond dealer and get it, it could be a way to transport wealth, across borders, because you can get a very valuable piece of rock, uh, very small compared to, let's say a ton of gold. But yeah, and some people argue that diamonds and De Beers, it's all kind of a scam, that they have a lot of diamonds in West Africa and Namibia, that they're all over the beaches, but these beaches are controlled by De Beers, right? So I don't know. But it doesn't mean to say that diamonds, you shouldn't, if you give your wife a nice diamond, why not? Yeah, and it's not divisible either, like Alex Alexander is saying, diamonds. So, yeah, I'll take one or two more questions. I've been on for like an hour and 10 minutes. So, one or two more questions, and then I'm going to call it a day here. Good children are financial insurance. That's right. I mean, family is really important, in my opinion, as well. Eugene, hi, Mara. Can you organize a small mentoring group? Um, I'll think about that. And do you mean on Skype or something like that? I'm not sure. I usually do the live streams. So diamonds can be made in the lab. Yeah, there's zirconium, isn't it? Cubic zirconium, but they're not real diamonds. There are ways to recognize, test it. Age off crocodilia. Most of us won't survive, unfortunately. I wouldn't be so negative. I mean, I don't see why. I read something the other day, and it says if Bernanke had let the system collapse, no wait, if we hadn't bailed out the system, uh, houses would still be there, the fields would still be there, people would still be around. Would just be Wall Street and the bankers who would have been wiped out. So I wouldn't be so negative, Ajoff. Mike C, oh, you're welcome. And thanks for showing up, everyone. So as I said, I'm calling it a day now. And I will probably I think I'll do the next one on Sunday, probably around 9 p.m. London. And yeah, thank you very much for showing up and participating. I really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you later. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.